specifically where my parents are from, because I think that was the genesis of my passion for, the love of, different cultures. And also there I was exposed to different cultures as well. And that's when also I realized that one must be very proud of their culture, because when you're outside.
Hello everyone, my name is Lorraine LOSHAQ. This is Made in African show that brings you true and original stories of Africans in a growing movement, highlighting the craftsmanship, creativity, and entrepreneurial spirit of African designers, artisans, and businesses.
I am the founder of the Africa Fashion and Arts Festival and Miss Culture Global. So I am also a businesswoman. This specific standard of what is considered beauty, we must embrace different types of beauty because that's what we are.
Where was the event took place? Was in Zimbabwe, in Malawi?
In Malawi.
In today's episode, we are with Lorraine LOSHAQ KLAJIC. She is the CEO and founder of Miss Culture Global, Africa Fashion Art and Festival, Rush Africa Foundation, and the AfriFood SA Limited.
If you look at Kim Kardashian, she did a plastic surgery just so that she can be, have curves. But African women have had curves for years. Most of the African men would prefer what we call in South Africa a yellow bone. A yellow bone is a lighter skinned. And that's why you see a lot of African women bleaching themselves, which is sad, bleaching themselves so that they can be attractive, because that's the next thing is to be proud of African culture. We don't want to lose our Africanism.
Thank you very much, Lorraine, to join our podcast, Made in Africa podcast. We are very happy to talk to you, to have you in our studio. So to start, Lorraine, let's our viewers and listeners know who is Lorraine, please. Can you go ahead and tell us who is Lorraine? Who are you? Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for actually bringing me on your podcast. I'm excited. And yes, my name is Lorraine Kljajic. I am the founder of the Africa Fashion and Arts Festival and Miss Culture Global. So I am also a businesswoman, philanthropist under the Rush Africa Foundation. And in business, I do quite a lot. I have a business called AfriFood. It's our e-commerce website that we're opening the first flagship, the physical one. It's like a supermarket, but only with specific, nice foods from across the continent that is based in South Africa. So only would take things that you cannot easily find in the supermarkets of South Africa, like the biggest supermarkets like Woolies, Pick and Pay. So you would find your yam flour from Ghana and Nigeria in our shop. You would find the palm oils. You will find the Ethiopian coffee. You find the Malawian coffee, Tanzanian rice, Malawian rice. Specifically those things that you can't find. So that is the afrifoodsa.co.za. Yes.
Okay. So Lorraine, back to your life. Where did you grow up? Is it in South Africa? Is it in Malawi? So tell us, where did you grow up?
Okay, so growing up, fortunately, my dad was a diplomat. And also, I think I should start specifically where my parents are from, because I think that was the genesis of my passion for, the love of, different cultures. My mother is Zimbabwean, and my father is Malawian. So my dad left Malawi when he was 6 with my granddad and moved to Zimbabwe. And then he grew up there, went to schools there, and met my mom, and they got married. And then at some point he moved back to Malawi because he got himself a job within the government and at the embassy, and then he was moved to Malawi. And then also at some point in his career, he became a diplomat, and I grew up in Tanzania, and where I learned my Swahili. Yeah, so there also, because he was a diplomat, we had the privilege of going to an international school. And so that's where also I was exposed to different cultures as well, whether it's, my first best friend was from Japan, then Zambia, South Africa. I've got friends from Rwanda, my best friend from Rwanda as well, So it's a place where I was also exposed to different cultures. So yes, and then after that, we moved back to Malawi, where I finished my high school. and then came to South Africa. And I've loved South Africa ever since. Then I got married at some point. I got married in 2016 and lived in Europe. I married a Croatian guy, and we lived in Netherlands. Traveled across Europe. And also there I was exposed to different cultures as well. And that's when also I realized that one must be very proud of their culture, because when you're outside where you come from, the first thing people want to know is what sort of food do you guys eat? How do you say hello in your language? Because that is what makes you who you are. So they want to learn about that. And that's when I realized that I think we need to be proud of where we're coming from. We need to teach others of what our culture is, because they are eager to learn. They're eager to learn even how to say, habari yako, or how do you say, this is good in your language. How do you say I'm fine? They want to learn that. What do you eat? What is your favorite food in that country? And that also inspired the business that I mentioned about the Afri-Food, because I also realized that even though we travel so many places, but there's a time where you feel like you want that home food that you grew up eating. And in some countries, it's hard to find those foods, Like if you look at our like how I grew up in Tanzania, how I grew up in Malawi, Zimbabwe, and then I came to South Africa, I realized the food here is much different. They eat ugali. Africa is, famous of its ugali. We call it ugali in, the eastern part of Africa. In Malawi and Zambia, they call it in Sima and Shima. In Zimbabwe, it's sadza. Here, it's pap. But it's different. They make it differently, slightly different, but it's the same thing. And but some other foods, you might not find them. And so you have to either go to and get, or trust those people that are visiting those countries, and you ask them, can you bring me A, B, C, D, E? And so it's hence the genesis of Afri-Food was based on that, and to see that I might not be the only one with the, missing my, tradition food, from either if it's Tanzania or Malawi or where I grew up. There are others as well. And so hence that business came into mind. Yeah. So that is pretty much who I am and where I grew up. I'm currently, I was in Netherlands, as you're aware. I stayed there for 2 years. Now I'm back in SA, in and out, but I'm also in Saudi Arabia.
Okay. So then you grown up in those countries and you went, tell us a little bit about your education, because you grown up in Tanzania, in Zimbabwe, in Malawi. Where did you go to primary school, or you have gone to primary school in both countries?
Yes, I did primary school in those countries, and also high school as well, and then uni I did in the UK. So I did I studied my first one obviously was a diploma in law. That was what my parents thought I would do well on, being a lawyer. When I was growing up in Tanzania, I was much more interested in the fashion. So I started designing and just learning from just seeing things on TV. I used to watch a lot of fashion. There was this, I don't know if that channel still exists, but there was fashion TV that was on DSTV when I was growing up. So I used to watch a lot of fashion TV. I watched these international fashion shows, and then also music videos that I was watching that influenced a lot of my love for fashion. So I started looking at that and I started designing. Literally, I used to do more fashion events, and I had my own models, and I was my own model at Laureate International School in Dar es Salaam. And so it started from there, where I started loving fashion through, the schools I went to, and I was exposed to that. And so that's the schools I went to. And then my parents were like, you know what? These things will not, bring you money. You cannot survive on fashion in Africa, And, parents, they always want us to be engineers, lawyers, doctors and stuff. So my parents, being one of the, typical African parents, they also felt like, no. You need to pursue your education in law, which I didn't want. I mean, that was not my passion. I did law. I don't practice it now, but I appreciate them because it actually, helps me a lot when, especially drafting contracts with what I do, understanding the legal requirements for, certain things that I am involved in. So it did help. But then afterwards, I started loving technology. Okay. And technology was something that was, so I pursued also a bachelor's degree in information technology. And that's what I did. And I think at some stage, I worked for an IT company. And so then I quit the IT company. At the same time, when I was working for the IT company, I also studied marketing with this professional marketing. It's called CIM from the UK, Chartered Institute of Marketing. Yeah, that's what I studied. And because as you're growing and then you're knowing that, oh, wait, I think marketing is something that you need to understand for you to be able to market your brand. So I felt like I needed that knowledge. And so I studied that. And that's what I did.
That's very interesting. So now, how many degrees do you have, if it's not a secret?
So I do have one. The other one, the degree in bachelor's degree in information technology, then the diploma in law and the diploma in marketing.
So, Lorraine, now that brings me to the question. You mentioned how you loved fashion designing when you were in Tanzania. So when did the idea came to you when you started to organize? When did you involved into Miss and contests and pages? When did you involve in that?
Okay, so first I started with the fashion, like you said, and with the fashion, I then was stopped. Like I said, my parents told me to, right after high school, they just cut my allowances because I used to buy fabrics, to design stuff. I've missed their curtains because my mom had such beautiful fabric for her curtains. And that time my mom had like different curtains. So she would put like 1 month, she put different curtains around the house. Then she'll put the next month, she'll wash those and fold them nicely and put them somewhere and bring in other curtains. So for me, I used to either use her curtains to design stuff and they cut off, and then I'll go get material. So they cut off my allowance to make me stop and concentrate on now after I finished high school on my, university stuff. So after I finished, I studied. When I was working for this IT company, I used to get approached for sponsorship by others in the creative sector. So one of the events I sponsored were the fashion events. So I was like, but why are you guys doing it like this? And I think because of also I had traveled a lot and I became more proud of my African heritage. Okay. So I looked at most of the fashion events that they were just, emulating what was happening in Europe or in New York, like New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week. It wasn't African enough for me. So as I went to different events after event, I attended SA Fashion Week. I attended the big fashion events that happened in South Africa. And I was like, wow, So then I said, you know what, because now I can't go back to designing, because I have lost a lot of time and I might not be as creative as my friends are. So I said, what else can I do to play a role in the fashion industry? So I said, let me create the Africa Fashion and Arts Festival. And the reason why even the name says it is because for me, I wanted to embrace, because there's nothing in African celebration, you cannot do anything without music. Okay, music is our, we need to add music. We need to add arts. That's who we are. We are very much creative. If you go anywhere else in the world, we are the ones that are more creative than the others. Sorry to say, but I think we are very daring in everything that we do, whether it's the dance. If you look at the African dance versus the way others dance, we are more free in our dance. We are not very, okay. If you look at some dances, like for example, salsa or ballroom dance, it's more I feel like orderly, like more structural. We are more free. We can dance, we can move our waist in a way that we just don't care. We can move any part of our bodies. So when it comes to music, and then when it comes to fashion, we are also not bounded by anything. We love color, we love different we don't just go for plain fabric. We like to, we're just that, So I wanted the event and the show to portray that, but to bring that African out there, and start embracing our culture, So the Africa Fashion and the Arts Festival was the first event I started doing. And that, when we started doing that, and then I realized that, wait.
Where was the event took place? Was in Zimbabwe, in Malawi? Where was that?
In Malawi in 2016. That was the first time we launched Africa Fashion and Arts Festival. And when we launched it, we had different African designers come to Malawi to showcase. But we only did not do that it was not only the fashion event. So the structure of the event is very different to those high-end fashion events. Because for us, it's like the models will come out, then there'll be performances by African artists, there will be arts displayed, so everything about African is there. The music that these people walk on is not international music like outside Western music. It's very much cultural music, that we play when the models are walking. They don't walk on those, the fashion songs that people use. For us, it's African music, that they walk out with. That's 2016. That's when we started in Malawi, and grateful enough, we had countries, other designers come to Malawi to showcase the design. But we also do it's a 1-week event, so there will be business seminars, workshops, outreach programs, because we also understood the essence of having mentors, because we have in Africa, people ask, we're struggling economically, but how is some people making it big, in the same, industry? Some people do not have that access to those people. So we try to bring those people to meet their, and share their stories, their struggling stories, and how they made it big, so that other people can also be inspired and, go through the same path that they have, because we have the same problems, so we have to come up with the same solutions as well, for how have you made it in Malawi to be big, how have you made it from Kenya to be a big brand, how have you made it from Rwanda to be a big brand globally, and we need to share those ideas with those that are upcoming designers. So that is what the show is all about, and also it's about the celebration of the everything about African arts.
So that show, how many editions have you done so far since you started?
We did 5 editions, but we stopped in 2020. COVID is what messed us up for the event, and that's when also now 2020 now we everybody will shut down, so you're like, we can't do the event because now we have international designers that they have to come, flights are not working, nobody's moving, what do we do? So that time it took me to now, I think I was watching, I think I started, YouTube, you're like making yourself, entertained. So I was on YouTube and I started getting into beauty pageants. I'm watching these shows and I'm thinking to myself, wait, I'm looking at some of the biggest brands in pageant, the top 2. I'm watching them. I'm like, wow, these Africans, who said to them that this is what we call beauty in Africa, And then I realized, wait, these pageants are very discriminatory to what we consider as the true African beauty. And so I was like, but how do they change? How can I make them change? I said, no, I can't. All I need to do is create my own platform, whereby now Miss Culture is something that came up. Because remember, for me, everything I do, it has to have something about culture. It has to have, the essence of what is culture in Africa, whether it's food, it's the dance, it's the music, it's the, the practices themselves. And now in this case is what is African beauty. Okay. So I said, why not? I'm exposed enough to go to different countries, not only on the continent, but also in Europe. In Europe, I'm dark, petite woman. For them, the darker you are, the more beautiful you are, right? You come to the African continent. Most of the African men would prefer what we call in South Africa a yellow bone. A yellow bone is a lighter skinned, and that's why you see a lot of African women bleaching themselves, which is sad, bleaching themselves so that they can be attractive, because that's in most African men would think a woman who is fair skinned, lighter skin is more attractive. And then you add in the curves, and but in Europe they do not embrace the curves, hence why you see, like in the past, the top pageants have never had bigger women. Now they are working on that, plus size women, they are working on that. But for me, when I started, I said, why not? Who says short girls are not beautiful? Who said? And I felt like this, we needed to have an empowerment, because the world is saying, so if you're like this, you're beautiful. What about the other women that are not tall enough, or they are not slim enough, and they are not fair enough, but they are beautiful, So we need to have something that shows that. So I said, no, let's start this thing whereby we crush all these requirements or criteria to say anyone can come on and to say I can go and represent my country, whether I am, of a plus size, I've got a big curves, I am, dark skin, I've got an afro, anyone should come. And also we've had, I also abolished the, where they say women that don't have kids to not enter. Yeah. For us, we allow women who have had kids. So we have Miss. We recently launched Misses in Malawi. I use Malawi as my pilot base because I am quite comfortable within that sector in Malawi. So we launched last year. We launched Misses, which we are going to launch it globally as well. So I said, no, why should women that have had babies and are not married be told they cannot come to this platform and, showcase themselves and their talents and their beauty and their intelligence, So I said, no, let's allow women that have had babies, are not married, become Miss, because we should be the ones giving second, chances to people, So that's also one of the things that I wanted to correct in the pageant industry, to say the discrimination must stop. There's this specific standard of what is considered beauty. We must embrace different types of beauty because that's what we are. Beauty comes in different forms. Beauty in different cultures is different. What is considered beautiful in Africa is different from Europe. It's different from Philippines. It's different from, India and everywhere else. But all these women are beautiful and they must be able to represent these different forms of beauty on this platform. So hence that's the reasons why we started in the Miss Culture Global. And it was during COVID that it inspired the idea because of, I had a lot of time on my hands and I now looked at the beauty pageant and I realized that something is wrong here. Let's try to correct it. And we can only correct. I cannot go and say, yo, guys, change your criteria. But we can just create a platform that we can do what we want to do using our own platform.
That makes me to ask you again. So why do you think actually African women, they are not proud themselves of who they are? What do you think that mentality came from?
I think it came from the Western part. Like I said, remember some of these things are Western. Maybe culturally we've had pageants in our own way. I don't know, but I'm not aware. But I feel like the pageants came from the Western, civilization, and they came with those specifics. So when we look at that, the music videos even that we watch and things, that brings us, oh, okay, so this type of women are very beautiful. I mean, let's face it. If you look at Kim Kardashian, she did a plastic surgery just so that she can be, have curves. But African women have had curves for years. Now only curves because and only because Kim Kardashian now is popular and now the curves became popular. You see, I was like, wait, Beyonce has always been there with her curves, but now you see women going even for surgeries. This is Caucasian women going for surgeries to have a bigger, what we call nyash in South Africa. Yeah, I'm like, what is going on to the world? And it only became acceptable to have a bigger nyash because so who is somewhere there in America made it cool, but it's always existed in Africa. So I feel like we need to, hence why now why I was telling you that we need to be proud. We don't have to wait for the Westerners to say this is what is beauty. No, we need to be proud of who we are and show them that we are proud of who we are, like this, not to wait for them to tell us that this is what is beauty, So that's what I think. I think we are very influenced, and unfortunately, it depresses others. Now we have social media, and social media now is saying this is that is that is that. We need to drive a different narrative, which is African, when you go, the darker colors are Western, if you go to London, for example, you much see dark grays and blacks, people wearing those, you don't see, we in Africa, we see color, we see what, I bought my mother-in-law a kitenge. You call it kitenge
Yes, yes,
in
yes.
Swahili. In Malawi, we call it kitenge. In Zambia, kitenge.
Yeah.
I bought her that, and when I was buying it, they were like, "But she might not like it because it's too colorful." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"This is my gift to her. I'm her daughter-in-law." So I brought it, and the first thing she saw it, she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful fabric."
Yeah.
It was colorful. She loved it. And so she was like, "I can make a summer dress. I can make
Mm-hmm.
a summer dress out of this." I said, "Don't worry, my sister does designing, or I'll take your measurements and what everything." And my sister made the summer dress that she wears during summer, and everybody, when she wears it, "Where did you get this dress from?" So that
Mm-hmm.
shows us that, our African prints, we mustn't be ashamed when we're out there to not wear our African prints. We must wear them. They must know us, that, "Oh, wow, that is an African person there." So we must, be proud of everything about Africa. And we must stop this. Okay, if I'm not speaking good English, then I'm not educated enough. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We must be proud, because I always come across, even on social media, whereby, people are arguing, and then someone is arguing in English, and then they write bad English grammar, or, they are speaking broken English, and people are saying, "Hey," and they laugh. Why are you laughing at English? Because if you go to Europe, most of the European countries don't even use English as the official language. If you
Mm-hmm.
go to China, Japan, they use their own local language. And these are well advanced economy of the world. So what is making them, be advanced economically? It's not English. So why are we thinking English should be a measure of intelligence? You know, so these are things that we need to be proud. If I cannot speak proper English, I will not. And don't shame me. I'm proud of my language. I'm proud of it. I mean, I was happy that at some point there were discussions around Swahili being the African country, for others to even learn about it. Also here in South Africa, I heard somewhere where they wanted to introduce Swahili as one of the, languages one can learn in school.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if we introduce Swahili in South Africa, and then Zulu is introduced in Tanzania, and things like that, and we learn that instead of French, instead of, these other languages from, outside Africa, So we need to be proud. We mustn't be having a colonized mind and thinking that if we don't speak good English, then that's good, that we're not good enough. If we do not dress this way, we're not good enough. If we don't wear our African suits, our safari suits to work, if we are not showing, we're not being presentable. Yeah, that is wrong. In like South Africa, dreadlocks. They've
Mm-hmm.
embraced dreadlocks even in the workplace, even in schools. But you'll see that in some African countries, if your child is wearing dreadlocks is a very African cultural, style. It's what we embrace. It's how we keep our hair. So they don't allow dreadlocks. But in South Africa, they have abolished that. They say, "No, this is our heritage. This is how we keep our hair. Let's embrace that. Let's embrace the safari suits. Let's embrace the kitenge outfits, or in the workplaces. We can have, wear the African, suits to work, to our business conferences, to our, political conferences that happens in Europe as well. We can wear that, and we must be proud. Why must we dress in a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
So that is, when we are proud, then we will be embracing ourselves, and we'll look at ourselves with positively, than to say, "Oh, who is influencing? Who says, why are we not proud of ourselves?" It's because we ourselves are saying women that are not light skinned are not beautiful. And you're making now women feel so depressed that they have to now bleach their skin. So that's how I can respond to your question.
Yeah. So now let's check the misculture. So now misculture is going on. How do you think women are benefiting from misculture? What the impact do you think misculture is bringing to women sustainability?
Okay, so firstly, let's touch on the objectives of why we have misculture, why we actually started the event, what I call an empowerment program rather than the beauty pageant. like I said, Malawi has always been a pilot for me, a pilot space for me. Try something there. If it works, then bring it out. So with Miss Culture, I looked at Malawi. I looked at Africa. What is the biggest thing that we value as Africans? You know, because the Western concept of a beauty pageant in most African countries, they've not accepted it. It's either they perceive it as a prostitution ring, where people are just bringing these beautiful girls to prostitute them to the politicians or big businessmen. It's an image that was there in Malawi as well, whereby these girls that do these are immoral, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me, I was like, wait, but when they say you're well cultured, this is a tradition girl. They say she's well mannered, right? So I said, yeah. So why not use the same, culture and Miss Culture and then bring it and in this space. Now, second thing, now what do we bring something that is valued by a lot of people? So I realized the first thing was education. Education is more valued. We Africans, we love education so much. When you finish your degree, people ask, so are you going for your master's? Yes. And then you want to go get your master's. And then, okay, now I'm going to be a doctor. Hey, doctor with a PhD. That's what we love. We love education. So I realized that to penetrate people's minds and let them understand that what we're doing is not what they think, is to now get these beautiful girls, be educated. So we scored a scholarship agreement with one of the local universities in Malawi, where now we said the ultimate prize is that scholarship, And when we started, even when I was talking to the president of the university, when I was asking the president of the university that I would like to talk to him about a possible partnership to have the winners of the Miss Culture to be able to get a scholarship. He looked at me and said, Lorraine, what? I'm like, yeah. And then he says, we have a certain criteria for the university entrance. I'm like, give me the criteria. I'll put it as one of the, criteria for us as well. What do you want? What pass do you want for the national secondary certificate? So he did, and then that's what we did. And the first queen that we crowned in Malawi, who is graduating this year, she aced her class. She is a brilliant mind, and when she entered, she was scoring the first, position in her, classes. And that's when even the dean was like, wow. So this queen she's actually smart. So you see now, we not only stopped that misconception of beautiful girls are prostitutes, but also that beautiful girls cannot be smart. All right. So when we did that, we had every time now when we are launching the new, the pageant every year, we get more parents even interested in sending the girls to our pageant, because they've realized that we are not only just doing the pageant, but it's an actual empowerment program for women. And with the Misses, we've been lucky also, where we launched last year in Malawi, that the winner got land as her prize. And the reason being, we focused on land or a bank loan, which unfortunately we didn't get it in Malawi. But we wanted to partner with a bank that would give this woman a loan, a business loan. And our idea behind that was that because employment rates in Africa is high,
Yeah.
So we looked at how do we play a role in reducing that. Unemployment rate is very high. So we said, okay, if we give a loan to a woman, but not only a loan. So we had already standby partners who are good at, who work as, or do their trade in financial advising, marketing. We had two firms that they're big in marketing, as well as another firm that does financial management, financial literacy and stuff. And they had accepted that if you get this loan, we will train these people, guide them every quarter. We sit down with them and say, how is your business doing? What did you do? Okay, what are the challenges? This is how you deal with your challenges. And these are the strategies that you can apply into what you're doing, And so we felt like that would have enabled more women to have their own businesses, but even in the next 2 years, start to employ others as well as their business grow. So that is that. Then the land issue was that, in African culture, women are not considered as, especially when we go into the rural areas now. Land is mostly owned by men. Okay.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of, women not playing a vital role when it comes to certain things like even in the mining sectors, technology, science and technology sectors. And for us, we were like, no, let's start pushing women, encourage more women to be owning such like land, owning business like in mining and, mining businesses and stuff, which is big in SA as well, So we said, no, let's do that. So when we introduced, because when we were introducing Mrs. Culture Malawi, a lot of people, because we introduced something, then we are still talking to our possible partners to say, can you give us this? Can you partner with us on this one? And so when we did, a lot of people, men were like, I cannot let my wife parade on stage. But we don't parade in bikini. Bikini, we find it to be a Western concept. So it's not within, we've stopped, we don't do bikini. We're non-bikini pageant. And we have introduced sportswear because we also want to, encourage and promote more health and fitness awareness in Africa. So we actually did not get what we wanted for the loan. But when we started advertising, we had a lot of negative feedback from especially husbands who were saying, I will not allow my wife to go on stage and parade herself, So then we now made an announcement what the lady will be winning land. Oh my gosh, you should have seen. And at that point, we have closed our, entrances. Everything's done. Those that registered were about maybe 7. It was 14. Sorry, 14. Then we trimmed them to 7. So at that point, when we have just announced the land, the men also were like, can't my wife apply? I'm like, wow, you see? So now we're giving something that they value a lot. Now they are seeing that, okay, this is a respectable, pageant. And my wife can go and, be what she want to be, So we did that, and we now get a lot of support from the husbands, from the fathers of these ladies that are entering these pageants, and slowly we're changing that. And hence why I'm saying that the empowerment part comes from there, and that is what Miss Culture is all about. It's that. And we hope that we have a lot of, bigger plans for the next 5 years. And we do hope we get proper and strategic partners that will enable us to, achieve what our vision is.
So that will be my last question, actually, to ask you the future of the Miss Culture. But now back to some of your life. So you have mentioned you are married. So how does your husband cope with you organizing events and Miss Culture? Does your husband doubt about you doing that? He supports you.
I would have been divorced by now if he wasn't supporting me. No, I have to say, I think sometimes you wonder why things happen and why you do them. I feel like I was called for this by maybe the greater powers, the God himself called me to do this, because I will tell you this, it's sometimes things come to me effortlessly, and that is including, I think with my husband, I was given a husband that is very understanding. He's European. A lot of people think because he's like that, but I doubt it. I've seen African men supporting their women. I travel a lot, okay? And like when I go to a place, especially I stay minimum 2 weeks, okay? So he is also up and down with what he does. Okay, like he's now in Saudi Arabia. He understands with what I do, it will be quite very challenging for me to settle in Saudi because of their Muslim laws, right?
Yeah.
So he is very understanding that at this point, we're looking at maybe you should move to Dubai or Bahrain, because it's more, less restrictive on women. And so I have to say, one, he is very, 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 very supportive, in what I do financially and mentally and everything, he's very supportive. And he totally also does not understand what I do.
Oh.
It does not. I mean, my husband is a proper nerd. He's a proper nerd. He's a civil structural engineer. Okay, highly very intelligent man. And so he's never been exposed to the fashion industry. Okay, when like in South Africa, when we were staying here in South Africa, I would say, oh, let's go to SA Fashion Week. And then the first time he went with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, because you know, SA Fashion Week is a proper, I can say, you know, kind of like those big European, it's back to back. A designer will walk in and out of you know, like there's nothing happening. It's just in and out, back to back, you know, one designer to another. You know, my fashion event is more of an entertainment. It's like you get someone, it is a 2-3 designers will walk out, then there'll be performances, music performances, dance performances, poetry performance, you know, so it's more entertaining. So if you are not into the actual fashion, you would still enjoy the event. So he was like, that's it? I'm like, yeah, we're done. I'm like, yeah, it's done. It's like, how? They were walking even so fast. You can't even see the clothes nicely. How are you going to buy them? I was like, yeah, you know. So he said, oh, I don't. And then in Europe, I was invited to some beauty pageant. I took him. I was like, you got to come with me. He's like, you know, I don't like those things. I'm like, just come. You got to support me and come with me. And then he sits down there. He's looking. He's like, but tell me something. Why are these women parading themselves and thinking and competing to be the most beautiful girls? All of them are beautiful. And so I'm like, you know what? There's something else behind. So he really does not understand these things, but I love the fact that he knows and appreciates that that's what makes me happy, and he supports it. So he doesn't have any objective in terms of when I say, oh, I'm invited to Nigeria, you know, I'm gonna go be a judge there in Nigeria, or I'm going to Uganda to be a judge. Actually, I went from Amsterdam to South Africa, then to Uganda to judge, you know. And he was like, oh, I've always wanted to visit Uganda, and you're going because you're doing this thing. That is interesting. But he's not. He's a totally, in terms of the difference in the passion that I have for this, he totally doesn't have that passion, the same passion. He just knows that that's what makes his wife very happy. It drives me, and he is very supportive in terms of what I do. He asks questions. He wants to know what's going on, who I'm meeting, and what. And the best thing is that a lot of people don't know. My husband, literally, even if he's not around me, when I say I'm going to Nigeria, I'm going to this event, to these awards, he asks me, can I see the dress that you're wearing? Then I say, okay, video call. I show him. He says to me, oh, that one is not showing your legs. You need to show your legs more. You've got beautiful legs, you know?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, he is. He's definitely my stylist. Funny thing, because even when we're shopping, he said to me, no, you need, you know, me, I'm a petite woman, so my curves are petite, so he wants me to wear something he wants me to wear something tight so that the curves are shown, you know. So he always says, what? Yes, he always says, why are you wearing, if I'm going to, when I'm packing to go to his country, or, you know, he says, no, dress nicely, you know, dress like this, dress like that, you know, because he's very proud of me, you know, and he always, you know, try to dress me, even though he doesn't understand the fashion, but he knows, like, okay, this is the body, and I must be proud of my body and show it off, you know. So he's very supportive in every kind of way. And I have to say, like I was saying in the beginning, that God gives us people that will enable our dreams, you know. So I think that is
true. I agree.
So he helps out because of his job as a structural engineer. He has helped me come up with the most crazy stages I've created. You know, like we did when I was doing the Africa Fashion and Arts Festival, we did a ramp over the pool, you know, without having supports in between the both sides, you know. He's the one who did that. He said, no, I work on suspension bridges. I'm like, what are suspension bridges? And then he shows me. I said, yes, I want something like that. He says, okay, I'm going to do it. And he did the calculations, and I worked with a local carpenter and welder in Malawi, and we created the stage, you know. So he also supports me when it comes to such things like structural things when it comes to stage ideas, I've got some crazy ideas. So he helps out in terms of that, applying his knowledge, in his professional knowledge, to what I do as well. He helps out.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice of you guys. Seems you are understanding each other very well, which I think is very good when you have a partner. Sometimes you live apart, sometimes you are together, sometimes you travel. So to trust each other. So we are almost heading to end of our today's episode. So Lorraine, what challenges have you encountered so far since you have been doing the career of fashion and Miss Culture and event in general as a woman? What challenges have you encountered so far?
Well, the first challenge as a woman, obviously, like a married woman, is the time I spend apart with my husband. And it's tough, but like I said, he appreciates and supports. And same here, I also appreciate and support him in terms of what he's doing, because he's also up and down with his career. So that's one challenge, is to live apart. It's quite a challenge, because sometimes when I'm tired, I'm used to him bringing me tea to bed. Like when I come home, I'm tired, I'm wearing high heels the whole day. He's the one who rubs my feet, like, oh, honey, you're tired, come, let me give you a foot massage. So those are one of the biggest challenge I can say, that as a married woman, to live apart from your husband. The second thing is, now when it comes to these things that we're doing, there are certain corporations in Africa that do not understand beauty pageant and do not support in terms of funding. So that is the other thing. And the other thing is we need more government of Africa to support the creative sector. I like, for example, in South Africa, the South African government can fund their designers. That's why you see a lot of South Africans doing big things outside, because we Africans, economically, we already have the challenge. So if we have governments that would support us, like even paying for our flights, to go somewhere, to showcase our talent, to go to Europe, to, participate in some of the events happening globally, that will help us a lot in terms of, creating a bigger impact, outside there, and showcasing what is Africa has to offer to the world, So those are the two. And the three is we need a mindset change when it comes to fashion. And because like I said to you in the beginning, that when I was growing up, my parents did not even think that someone can be able to make money and even be able to travel because of fashion. So we always push our kids to say, go pursue a law degree, go pursue, engineering or doctor degree. We need to now start looking at, the world has changed quite a lot. We need to be innovative, and we need to allow our kids to be innovative. And if only that is how we can, become better and have a global advantage, a competitive advantage that we can have for us in the global, space. So those are the three things I would say we have seen as a challenge. And because I get kids saying, I want to participate, but, can you please talk to my mom? Can you please talk to my dad? So these are the things that we see as challenges. The lack of funding, for change of mindset also needs to happen. And let's support, even not only the support from the corporates, but also ourselves, individuals. We like to say, oh, Nicki Minaj is coming to Africa, and we all go. But when we are doing our own local events, we get less people supporting us, coming and buying tickets and saying, oh, this, but this, that. No, we need to have that support in every way, that we can. Let's support each other. So that's the challenges, I would say.
That is very interesting, actually, to listen how some of our governments like South Africa government is supporting fashion designers. So yeah, you are right. We need African governments to support the creative industry. So, Lorraine, what's your favorite food, by the way? It seems you have been traveled to many countries. So
I think my favorite food, anyone will tell you, is that it's I don't know if you're familiar with any dried fish.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, it's dried fish is quite not common. Like in South Africa, it's not they don't have dried fish. Dried fish is very common around Zimbabwe, Malawi, the western part of Africa, but it's not here. So for me, I would say my favorite food is dried fish. I love it, and I usually crave for it, and I usually try to always have it with me. Yeah, and then of course with ugali, sima, sadza, anything, that is it has to come with that. And also you have to add in a bit of vegetables, so it's those green vegetables that we have, where you can even pluck them from the forest, from the bushes, those ones. So that is what I could say is my favorite food, because at some point when I went to Croatia, my mother-in-law even is aware that I love that food. And unfortunately, they don't have that. So they asked me, like, what's your favorite food? I want to make you a favorite food. I looked at it, I said, no, you cannot. Where can I find this? And then we ended up using polenta. Polenta is very popular among Europeans. It's a yellow type of, ugali flour. So they usually make it as a porridge. So for me, I told her, no, we make this. And she's like, no, there's polenta, but it's yellow. So I said, no, that can do. So we went, and then she made me beef stew. And then I said to her, next time I'll bring you okra, because okra also, I love okra. And so my next trip, I brought okra, and she loved it. And to the point now, she actually, has some in her garden because I brought her some seeds. So that is my favorite food, I would say.
That's so amazing. So always we ask our guests to send a message to people, especially women, like you send a message to women. But before you send a message to women, where are you seeing Miss Culture you said what's your plan in 5 years? And what do you think people should know? And what do you think people should be involved in the next 5-year plans of Miss Culture?
Firstly, I think a 5-year plan for us is to be a formidable pageant, one of the top 5 in the world. Like you've noticed, already bigger pageants are making bigger changes that, things that we've been embracing, you saw the recent Miss World, there was a plus size model, so which is good. So, but we ourselves, we want to be that change maker. And we already are making, strides towards that, being more, allowing different types of women to participate on our platform. So that is one thing that I want to urge everyone that will want to participate, whether you want a franchise for your country, to be able to, you can apply. We have our website, misscultureglobal.org. Then we are also on Facebook, Instagram. You can come, let's do this together. If you're proud of your culture, if you're proud of who you are. And for us, beauty is in different forms, and every woman is beautiful. And that's one thing I want to tell also the women, that don't let anyone tell you you're not beautiful enough, okay? Or you're not capable enough of doing what you think you can do. Go ahead and do that, we usually, especially women, because emotionally we seem to have, we more base our decisions on emotions. So we need to be strong enough to not allow, especially the bleaching. Sorry, I'm saying that I don't like bleaching. I'm not an advocate. Don't like bleaching, and I feel like let's leave our melanin on intact, women. Do not allow a man to change your physical attributes to make them feel. If they want such a type of woman, let them go find that woman somewhere else. Don't change for a man, okay? Mm-hmm. Embrace your beauty, because there's a man that is going to embrace that beauty. They will embrace it. So we need to create. I've seen a lot of dark models now. I've seen on Instagram, darker models that are being proud of their skin, showing their skin that this is dark. I am beautiful in this way. Let's continue on that path. So two, there's nothing a woman cannot do. Please go ahead. You want to study mechanical engineering, go ahead and do that. You want to have a business in mechanical engineering, or that is mining, or go ahead and find out, do research and find out about that. You can do anything. So don't let anyone stop. And also husbands, or boyfriends or whatever, support your women, trust your women, and support them, because I always say we are the custodians of the next culture, the next generation, comes from women. And we need to support women so that they're able to even preserve some of our cultural values. And next thing is to be proud of African culture. We don't want to lose our Africanism, we don't want to lose it, we must embrace ourselves. And, civilization, I always say, started in Africa. The human race started in Africa. And we need to show that we started this, and we need to be happy. We need to be proud of ourselves and our cultures, we gotta be proud of our food, If I'm in Europe and I feel like I need ugali, I'm going to eat ugali in front of any European, and I'm going to eat it with my hands and be proud of my culture.
Oh, that's so nice. So, Lorraine, thank you very much. Thank you so much for giving us the time to talk to fashion lovers in Africa, talk to women, to inspire women. Thank you for being with us in Made Africa show, and we hope to see you in the next episode.
Thank you, Celestine, for having me as well. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our episode. See you next time with your host, Celestina William.